Time magazine called him the unsung hero behind the internet. CNN called him a father of the internet. President Bill Clinton called him one of the great minds of the information age. He has been voted history's greatest scientist of African descent. He is Philip Emeagwali. He's coming to Trinidad and Tobago to launch the 2008 Kwame Ture lecture series on Sunday, June 8th at the JFK Auditorium, UWI St. Augustine, 5 p.m. The Emancipation Support Committee invites you to come and hear this inspirational mind address the theme, crossing new frontiers to conquer today's challenges. This lecture is one you cannot afford to miss. Admission is free, so be there on Sunday, June 8th, 5 p.m. at the JFK Auditorium, UWI St. Augustine.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm Philip Emeagwali. On the 4th of July, 1989, in Los Alamos, New Mexico, United States, I discovered how to solve the toughest problems arising in science and engineering. I discovered how to solve grand challenge problems and how to solve them by dividing them into 1 million smaller problems. I discovered how to solve those problems at once or in parallel, and how to solve them across 1 million processors that outlined and defined a new internet. That discovery, called practical parallel supercomputing, was my physical realization of a hypothesis that was published as science fiction back on February 1, 1922. That science fiction was published as 64,000 humans working together as one, and doing so to solve the complex partial differential equations of calculus that in turn must be solved because their solutions were the preconditions to mathematically forecasting the weather for the whole earth. I was in the news headlines shortly after my discovery that occurred on the 4th of July, 1989. I was in the news headlines because I was the first person to figure out how to solve that grand challenge problem of weather forecasting, and for figuring out how to solve the problem across a new internet that is a new global network of 64 binary thousand processors that encircled a globe in the 16th dimension and encircled that globe in the manner the internet encircled the earth. Parallel processing is vital to the supercomputer that must solve up to 1 million problems at once or in parallel. It took a decade for my discovery of parallel processing to eventually reach the ears of the Supercomputer committee that awarded me the top prize in the field of supercomputing. Prior to winning that top prize, I studied physics and calculus, and I did so full-time for 20 years. Calculus and large-scale algebra are at the granite core of extreme-scale computational physics that, in turn, is the test bed for never-before-seen supercomputers. My contributions to mathematics made the news headlines in 1989 because I discovered how to reformulate the tridiagonal system of equations arising in large-scale computational physics, such as the highest, the most fine-grained, and the most extreme-scaled petroleum reservoir simulations of the oil fields of the Niger Delta region of southeastern Nigeria. I was in the news because I returned to first principles, or the laws of physics. From the laws of physics, I reformulated the grand challenge problem of computational physics. I achieved that by inventing a diagonal system of governing equations of algebra that replaced the otherwise tridiagonal system that must be solved sequentially instead of solved in parallel and across millions upon millions of commodity off-the-shelf processors. I set up the largest system of equations of algebra, and I did so in the context of discovering and recovering otherwise elusive crude oil and natural gas. I was in the news headlines because I used the oil field as my test bed and used it to prove for the first time ever that the parallel supercomputer is faster than the sequential supercomputer. Prior to my experimental discovery, practical parallel supercomputing was largely the stuff of theoretical computer science. In my world of the parallel supercomputer, July 4, 1989 was a red letter day. My parallel processing experiment made the news headlines because it was a game changer for the field of supercomputing. The first ever discovery that the parallel supercomputer is the fastest computer in the world opened the door to a new supercomputer and to a new computer science. In my new way of parallel processing, the modern computer will not be a computer per se, but will be billions upon billions of interconnected processors and email pathways by which the processors communicate and work together to solve grand challenge problems arising in science, engineering, and medicine.
Insightful and brilliant lecture.